Judah Iscariot had given them a sign, saying, "Behold, I will flatter him and mislead him into thinking I repent the sins of my life. As a sign of the false flattery there shall be a kiss. And behold, whomever I kiss, he is the one, seize him." He then stepped up to Jmmanuel and said, "I'll greet you, Master. I will follow your teachings now, for you are allowing me to repent for what I did during my old life." Then he touched Jmmanuel and gave him the kiss of betrayal. But Jmmanuel said to him, "My friend, why have you come to lie to me when betrayal burns in your mind and in your actions?" The henchmen then came up to Jmmanuel, put their hands on him and seized him. And behold, one of the henchmen from the group thought better, had a quick change of mind, and feeling remorseful, sided with Jmmanuel. He stretched out his hand, drew his sword, and struck a chief priest's servant, cutting off his ear. Then Jmmanuel said to the man, "Put back your sword into its sheath, because anyone taking a sword without being in danger will perish by the sword. Or do you think that I could not have fled before your group arrived? But how could I fulfill my destiny had I done so?" And the man turned away and wept, then fled and was never seen again. Thereupon Jmmanuel said to the henchmen, "You came here with swords and poles to capture me as though I were a murderer. How easy it would have been for you to capture me in the city as I sat there in the temple, teaching daily. Yet you did not seize me. You hypocrites! You were no doubt afraid of the people, therefore you now come to me like thieves so you can throw me into prison in darkness, out of the sight of the people. Truly, I say to you, darkness will become light, and everyone will speak of your deed for which you will be denounced for all time to come." But then Simeon, the Pharisee, raised his voice and said, "How foolish your talk is and so full of lies. Why should we fear the people? You have taught the people falsely, despised our laws and called them lies, so for this you must now suffer. You thought we would not capture you and bring you to trial, but you were mistaken. One of those who was with you was not of your mind and has betrayed you for 30 pieces of silver, namely, Judas Iscariot." Jmmanuel answered, saying, "Truly, I say to you, for a long time you may succeed in accusing Judas Iscariot as my betrayer before the people, but the truth will come out and be known by all people throughout the entire world, namely, that my betrayer is not Judas Iscariot but is your son, Judah Iscariot, who bears the name of his father, the Pharisee." Simeon Iscariot, the Pharisee, was furious, stepped up and struck Jmmanuel in the face with his fist because he was afraid of his true words. After this happened, the disciples, fearful and discouraged, turned away from Jmmanuel and fled. Those who had seized Jmmanuel led him to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes, Pharisees, and elders of the people had gathered to pass judgment on him. Jmmanuel before the high council. The chief priests, however, and the high counselors sought false testimony against Jmmanuel so they might put him to death. And even though many false and bribed witnesses appeared, they were unable to find any false testimony. Finally, 2 stepped forward and said, "He has said that God is not creation, but simply a man like you and me. He also said that he was begotten by a guardian angel of God, by the name of Gabriel." Caiaphas, the high priest, arose and said to Jmmanuel, "Will you not reply at what these 2 bear witness against you?" But Jmmanuel remained silent and smiled benignly. Therefore the high priest spoke to him, "I'll adjure you by the living God to tell us if you were begotten by the angel Gabriel, who is an angel of God, as the scriptures attest." And Jmmanuel replied, "As you say. But I also say to you that God is not creation. Instead he is Lord over the 3 human lineages that were begotten on earth through his will. God has come from the vastness of the universe and has brought the world under his will. Therefore he is the supreme emperor of these 3 human populations. One of them is here in this country, which you have deprived of its rights and subjugated. Another is in the east as far as the land of India, and the third is in the north from the land of the king with horns to the sea where icy mountains drift in the water. There are 7 human lineages living in all the directions of the wind, from one end of the earth to the other. God is Lord over them also, although they serve other gods who also are not of this earth. If you consider God to be creation, you are mistaken and commit a sacrilege against the truth. Just as you are human like I am, so God is human, except that in spirit and consciousness he's very much more advanced than the human lineages procreated by him. God and his celestial sons are other human lineages who have come from the stars out of the depths of space in their machines of metal. Creation stands immeasurably higher than God and his celestial sons, who are the guardian angels. Creation alone is the incalculable mystery that begets life and, thus, stands immeasurably far above God and indeed all life. Recognize the truth of this teaching, so that you may attain knowledge and wisdom in truth. Thereupon Caiaphas, the high priest, rent his clothes and spoke with rage. He has blasphemed God, the Creator. Why should we need further testimony against him? Behold, now you have heard his blasphemy for yourselves. What punishment do you think he deserves? They answered, saying, he deserves death. Then they beat him with their fists and spat in his face. And some of them struck him from behind and said, Prophesy, you great king of wisdom and son of a celestial son, who is it that's beating you? Peter had followed Jmmanuel and the group, and hid among the people looking through the doors and windows. Thus, he saw what was being done to Jmmanuel. Then a maid approached him and said, Aren't you one of the disciples of this Jmmanuel from Galilee? The denial by Peter. When Peter was asked by the maid, he denied it and said, What kind of nonsense do you accuse me of? I don't know what you're talking about. But because of the maid's question, he was afraid and wanted to escape from the place, for he feared for his life. As he walked out the door, behold, another woman saw him and told the people, This man was together with a blasphemer from Nazareth. But Peter lied a second time, and, raising his hand as in an oath, said, Truly, I don't know that confused person. And when Peter left the house, those who had been standing there came up to him, saying, Aren't you one of those who serve this Jmmanuel? You're giving yourself away through your manner of speech. Peter began to revile Jmmanuel, cursed himself and swore, I don't know this crazy person or his blasphemous teachings of God. But soon thereafter a rooster crowed 3 times, and Peter thought of Jmmanuel's words, and he hurriedly ran away from there and wept bitterly. Chapter 29. The Suicide of Judah Iscariot. Judah Iscariot, the betrayer of Jmmanuel, was among the counselors who wanted to kill Jmmanuel. But when he saw what appalling injustice and torture Jmmanuel was undergoing, and that his face was bloody, he felt repentant. Suddenly great distress and misery was within him. At odds with himself, he took his money bag, tossed it before the chief priests and council elders and said, I have done evil to this person because I was thinking only of gold and silver and the goods and wealth. I repent that I have betrayed innocent blood because his teachings do not seem evil to me.